Hello there, Mad Mike here, and welcome back to the channel. And today we are going to be doing a trailer breakdown for the first trailer for Matt Reeves' The Batman, starring Robert Pattinson, which is set to release next year. Now, this comes out of DC Fandom, which also has a couple other things that I'll be doing videos on today, or at least one other thing. So they've released this is the first full trailer for this film, so this is actually the first time we're seeing a lot of the stuff in action. Most of the stuff we've seen is really just screenshot or pictures, set pics, and stuff like that. So this is the first really good piece of footage we have, and it has no shortage of Robert Pattinson as Batman in the bat suit, which I have to say I do like the bat suit design in the movement and stuff that happens with the character. It's fairly sleek, and it looks like it's pretty easy to maneuver. The only thing that I'd mention is that he has a little bit of the stiff neck syndrome that oftentimes comes with some of those bat suits, which they kind of fixed in the Nolan version, but now they've kind of reverted back to it. So it looks like he's not really that mobile around the neck area too much. He can kind of lift and lower his head pretty easy, but turning left to right doesn't seem to be that easy. So maybe that's just one little thing, but that's something that Batman fans aren't used to. I mean, most of the bat suits had that problem. So you have all that, and we get to see some other stuff. We get to see some characters come in, Catwoman, Riddler, stuff like that. But let's dive right into the trailer. And when we first start the trailer, we have this big red Warner Brothers symbol, and we have the start of what sounds like a musical score. Now it doesn't really start up too much, and then in the background we hear the sound of somebody unrolling a roll of duct tape, and that just like that noise. It's kind of like nails on a chalkboard a little bit, actually, at least for me. But it's what looks like their version of the Riddler, which looks like this horrifying weird guy. He has like duct tape all over his face, and it's written on him, and he has glasses on over it. He has like holes in the duct tape so he can see through it and presumably breathe through it. But it's a really weird sight. And he's taping somebody up, and then the immediate scene after that, which I'm assuming is the same person that we see on the ground that he's about to tape up in the first scene, is then sitting in a chair with the word lies written on his face. And his face is now covered in duct tape, and presumably, again, he can't breathe. He's suffocating to death, which is very, very disturbing. It reminds me a little bit of like Black Christmas, like the scene where the girl gets suffocated with the plastic wrap. Reminds me a little bit of that, but then you kind of go into this next part where the music is picking up now, and James Gordon, who it has been recast for this, which a lot of people are making a big deal out of the whole race swap for Jim Gordon. The thing is that I consider this movie pretty much like an Elseworld story. I don't consider this, this is not main DCEU, so, where you have J.K. Simmons is Commissioner Gordon. So, like, you have a couple different universes. This is supposed to be an offshoot universe. If they change him around a little bit, that's fine, but they need to make sure that they keep the character correct, the characteristics of Jim Gordon. And from this trailer, it seems kind of like that. And again, this movie is supposed to take place well after Batman has been established in Gotham. It's like his second, I think they said it's his second or third year as Batman. So he's kind of worked all the kinks out for the most part, but he's kind of still new at this. So this seems like this is kind of a really big event where now Riddler is showing up in the city. We also see some hints that maybe a Joker is around as well, but I'll get to that because there seems to be like kind of a Joker-esque gang. Reminds me a little bit of Batman Beyond where they had the Joker gang, but this seems to maybe precede the Joker, or maybe he also already exists in this universe. We don't know. But Jim Gordon starts doing this little monologue as in line with the music that's going on in the background that has some vocals over it. And basically, the person who committed the crime, or the person who committed the murder, at least we can assume it's the same person, left a little note for Batman that says, "To the Batman." And this is when we start with, Riddler's whole thing of fucking with Batman's head and trying to outsmart him to prove that he's superior and all that stuff, because Riddler is a narcissist. So it makes sense to kind of guide us along that path. Now, it does give a little bit away for the initial start of the film. I think that shock scene you have with the duct tape maybe could have been left to the film. I think unless you have a lot of other stuff in the the film and you said we could sacrifice this, it's fine. Um, but then we go into all these other scenes where we kind of see Batman going along his way, and also Robert Pattinson out of the bat suit. There's actually a specific scene where we see him in what appears to be a funeral, where a car careens through the church cathedral where they're having the funeral, and crashes into the front, like the stairs and stuff at the front of the church. And then a guy gets out with a bomb strapped to him and a message to the Batman. And it brings up so many questions because obviously this means Riddler has killed somebody already, and the guy that he kills may actually be the guy who's that's his funeral. That might actually be the same guy. We don't really see any pictures of. Well, we see a picture at the funeral of the person that died, but we don't really see any other faces like that in the trailer. So he might actually be the person that gets suffocated at the beginning because we never actually see that guy's face on screen. But you look through and Pattinson, I will admit they made him look a little bit emo. It's not the haircut mostly. Like when he's in the bat suit, he's very believable as Batman. They have this actually another sequence that's a little bit later on. Where he confronts these guys from this Joker gang, and this front guy asks who he is, and then he goes up and he tries to hit him with it looks like a bat or a pipe maybe, and Batman just grabs his arm and proceeds to beat the living shit out of him in front of all the other people until they're like, all right, we need to go. And then the only line that Pattinson, well, actually, sorry, there's two lines that he actually says in the trailer, but this is the more pronounced one, is I am vengeance, which it's probably, again, it's a callback to I am vengeance, I am the night, I am Batman from the animated series, which I welcome. If you're gonna do, if at least if you're gonna do it, make it something cool like that, which is kind of like he just beat the living crap out of that guy, and now he's telling you he's vengeance, and then he's going to come after you if you try to attack him. They also have a few little interludes in there as well, where there's some quick cuts. There's a scene where Batman apparently gets shot in the chest, although it looks like the bullet glances off. There's also a scene similar to kind of like the Nolan series, where Batman is being pulled up like the center of a spiral staircase. So like the stairs are all around him in like a tunnel, and he's going up through it, and it appears that there's police officers there that may be chasing him. There's also a scene where it looks like Batman is inside of either a police precinct, some kind of an enclosed room, and he's surrounded by cops, and they're pushing him around or separating them or something. So there's a lot of scenes where we don't really know what's happening. But at the same time, they're kind of actiony scenes. They show like, okay, well, he obviously we're not sure how that gunshot thing went, but hopefully the armor took care of most of it. But we know that they're not afraid to pull the trigger and actually have Batman get shot, which is that's something that some directors have tried to shy away from over time. So you have that, and then you also have this whole interlude with him and Catwoman as well, because we do see Selina Kyle, even though she's in a mask, we do see her, and it looks like she's trying to break into a safe with a drill and stuff like that. They have a little scene where she's breaking into a place, and then we have another scene a little bit later in the trailer where it looks like they're in the same type of a room, and Batman and her are facing off and fighting. So that is kind of interesting because Selina has always been more acrobatic than Batman has been, and it seems like that's kind of the case, where she even takes a stance similar to like something like a cat. She's very low to the ground. She uses her legs a lot. The fight scene, the little bit that we do see, looks kind of interesting. Again, they don't look like they're going to beat the living shit out of each other necessarily, because I have a funny feeling they're not going to go to that point. But Batman will probably, as usual, prove to be the stronger fighter, and then Selina then has to flee. But it's probably going to be a situation where she pops up a couple of times during the story to kind of, for various plot-related reasons, to get in Bruce Wayne's way. And then, of course, the relationship will develop after that, probably. But that was interesting to see. We don't really see, I don't think we see any shots of Penguin in the trailer, although there is a few brief shots of a guy who appears to be driving a car, and he says, "Oh, this guy is crazy," and that's kind of one of the other lines that's overlaid over that scene. And we kind of have like a half thing where it looks like Batman's gaining on him, and he is driving the other half of the screen is him driving the car and exclaiming like how crazy Batman is. So I don't know if that might be. I think Colin Farrell is supposed to be playing the Penguin in this. So I mean, he might just be make-upped up. That could just be it. but it definitely does not look like him. So I don't think that is the same actor. So we don't really see him, and the only stuff we really see of Riddler is that stuff where we see at the beginning where it's the guy with the duct tape wrapped around his head. Again, I can assume that's Riddler right at this point. But like I said, it doesn't give too much away. You have a few little shots of the Batmobile, with the jet and stuff on the back that looks kind of interesting. It looks like it's a bit more armored than maybe we thought, because I think they do show it crashing into a couple of things. So again, little tiny tidbits. They give away a little bit of the story where somehow Batman and Selina Kyle are going to be going after the same thing for whatever reason. Again, we don't know the reason, but that we know that is a plot point. We know the story is probably going to begin with the Riddler murders, and Batman's going to have to try and solve that over the course of the trailer, or over the course of the movie. And then even at the end of the trailer, they have a little stinger there where Riddler is it sounds like Riddler's talking to him in a very slow voice. Says, "You're a part of this," He says, and then Batman just goes, "How am I a part of this?" And they just leave it kind of there where he just says, "Oh, you'll know." Or no, you'll find out. And so it's again, they made Riddler kind of creepy, kind of like how he should be. He should be this kind of menacing, kind of cryptic, whatever. Again, he's always been portrayed in the past as a narcissist, and that he's smarter and better than everybody else, and then Batman just usually gives him his comeuppance. So he's a perfect villain actually to cast for this, because you can't help but probably hate him. And when Batman begins to beat the shit out of him, it's probably even better. But that's just my thoughts on this trailer. I want to know what your thoughts are. As usual, I will link the trailer below in the description for anybody that wants to watch it. And I want to know, are you excited for the Robert Pattinson Batman? Do you think it's going to be good? Do you think it's going to be bad? Did you like the first trailer, if you've watched it? And anything that you may want to add that maybe I missed? As I said, usually put your thoughts in the comments below. I like to read them. Hit the bell for notifications, hit the like button, subscribe, and remember, I live my life free of compromise. Do you?